from across the world, I welcome you. I welcome you for this spectacular show of Education Pe Charcha. This is Vivekanand Jha, an author, academician, and a public intellectual. And on the platform of Vidyadan, because Vidyadan, we are providing a different types of education, online education across India. So my dear viewers, those who are already engaged with us in watching this spectacular program, you must have been witnessing and experiencing that how on every Saturday we make this program live at exactly at 7 p.m. and we keep on inviting all types of the stalwarts from different professions with different, from different fields of specialization. If you could recall, we have already had the galaxy of stalwarts, as our honored guest. Just the preceding session, we have already had an IPS officer, a brilliant, dynamic IPS officer, Sri Amitabh Thakurji. And let me inform all of you that we have already had invited the topmost, the global statesman, that is India's greatest Chief Election Commissioner, Sri V.S. Sampath Sir, global academician, Dr. Deepak Sri Jain Sir, one of the topmost IS officers, Dr. Jain Singh Sir. And my dear viewers, today, in the chronology of bringing all the galaxy of stalwarts for educating the nation, because Education Pe Charcha is, equivalent to, or it is tantamount to educating the nation. Today, we have in our midst another stalwart, that is, the man who served India's army or Indian military with distinction. And not only that, his overall role has been confined to serving only the military, but even in the post-retirement phase, he has been doing everything for glorifying the nation. The man who personifies or epitomizes versatility in himself. Because the moment I will come to his short profile, because even his profile is too big, and it encompasses the meticulous details of a man who had worn several caps during his very, very illustrious career. Honorable Brigadier Dr. Sri B.K. Khanna, sir, darling of the masses. And most importantly, sir had served, as I was telling all of you, with distinction, not only in the 1971 war of liberation of Bangladesh, that is East Pakistan then, but in the Indian peacekeeping force. Decades later, he served there with distinction. So it is the time, my dear viewers, just to have an insight into the versatile persona of Brigadier Dr. Sri B.K. Khanna, sir. Let us have an insight into his, holistic, his very illustrious profile. Let me know, since as I was trying to tell you that the man, such a, with a distinction, having distinctively served in various capacities. So even his profile, albeit in a very short form, but nevertheless is too big to be accommodated in this 1 hour's program, because if I go on narrating about it, possibly much of time will be exhausted. So I'll give you the brief outline of his distinctive career of Brigadier Dr. Sri B.K. Khanna, sir. Former founder, hereby it goes, his brief details goes in this way. Former founder, senior consultant, National Disaster Management Authority, for Government of India for 9 years, 2005 to 2014. Former senior consultant, National Institute of Disaster Management, Ministry of Home Affairs. Presently lead senior consultant, as you must have seen the poster, that is disaster management with FICCI, the Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce, since 2004, looking after Arise FICCI initiative. Now, there are so many chairman crisis and DM services, means that is disaster management services, chairman facility and DM skilling council, director Institute of Integrated Rural Development, Simla, and so many other things. Now he has, so many things, that he has taken part in all counter-insurgencies in India since 1966. He participated in man-made disasters, including Mayapuri radiation leak and so many other things. Then, he took part in 1971, as I was trying to tell you, because some of the questions will definitely revolve around his, glorious role that he played during 1971 War of Liberation. He took a part in it, and, and 1987 Operation Pavan, that was, the Indian peacekeeping force, which was sent under the stewardship of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi to Sri Lanka. And Honorable Brigadier Dr. Sri B.K. Khanna sir had played a pivotal role in providing a dynamic leadership to the Indian peacekeeping force in Sri Lanka. Some questions will definitely revolve around it. So he has conducted over 1,300 capacity development programs and mock exercises in colleges, schools, malls, shopping complexes, etc. He has written 2 books on disaster management, 2 chapters in IGL reference books on climate change, and over 197 articles on disaster management, climate change and security in national and international journals. He has done PhD in terrorism, Doctor of Literature in Disaster Management, and MBA in International Trade. So as I was telling you, my dear viewers, here is a stalwart who has worn several caps during his illustrious career, which was not confined only with the pivotal role that he played in the military in the capacity of a brigadier, but see the versatility that what I was talking all about. He has been awarded 5 times for bravery and for exceptional services by the President of India, and 12 times by the state, union territories, police forces. So this was, as I already said, I glossed over many of his other exploits because it is so much. It is you can say it was the churning out of the ocean. Took only few drops from the behemoth of the ocean that he epitomizes or personifies. Now I invite, with the questions now, Honorable Brigadier Sir, Dr. Sri B.K. Khanna sir is very much today to grace and bless education pe charcha, that is educating the nation. Now we are coming to the first question, sir. Now it will be your take, and we, very much heartily and cordially welcome you on dais to grace and bless education pe charcha, sir. Now my first question goes in this way, Honorable Brigadier sir. How do you, because let me say brief background, before I ask questions to our Honorable Sir, you all of us know entire international community today is very much restless in the wake of the scenario unfolding in our immediate neighborhood, that is Afghanistan. We know Taliban has taken over that particular nation, the sovereign, and now it is a matter of a deepest concern and anxiety among the international community, especially in our country, because we all are mulling, we all are thinking as to its overall implication on the security matters and on the strategic affairs. So obviously it is a matter of it is a matter of deepest concern, I would say. So now it is for the expert to opine on it. So this is my first question to you. Because there are so many terrorist groups operating in Pakistan and across the world, especially in Afghanistan. So how do you distinguish between Taliban with other terrorist organizations like Jaish-e-Mohammed, Al-Qaeda, Lashkar-e-Taiba, and all these sort of terrorist organizations? Because there is a general perception that all are being generalized, all are being taken as one. But you are the man, you are a defense analyst, you have a discerning pair of eyes, you can distinguish among all of them. So how do you perceive all of these organizations, individually? Sir, your take on this, please. Honorable Dr. Sri B.K. Khanna sir, please sir.
Thank you very much, Vivekananji. That you have given us a good background, and thanks for saying it. I do not know whether I do deserve all that accolade which you have given it. Coming to your first question, let me first tell you as to the Afghan's side as such. If there are 2 brothers in Afghan, they will start fighting with each other. But if there is a cousin comes up there, so they both will get together and fight with the cousin. And if there is in fact somebody come from outside, so the cousin will also get together and they will fight outside. So there is a conflict going on throughout. So it is that area where is the conflict which is keep on going out there. To that extent, that's why I'm saying it, that this Taliban, so-called Taliban, is a product of the Pakistan and America. The Taliban, in fact, they started off, when the Soviet, as you remember it, the Soviet Union was there, and they, of course, it was against them only. Race, Taliban means it's a student. The student essentially. So they raise some of the students, of course, were uneducated in the madrasas, which of course the Pakistani and under the Pakistan leadership, they were trained by them, and they are the one were completely taken Taliban one as such, that completely training which was given to them was by Pakistan. And as far as officer were concerned, they were also officer as well as the studies as well as the planning, etc., was done by Pakistan. The Taliban one is exclusively Pakistan, with of course overall supervision from the American to just basically take. But as they say that if you are, in fact, this thing. Having a snake with you, okay, you want to have a snake with you, someday it's going to bite you. The Taliban, in fact, because of this only, it became some sort, after of course, the Soviets, they went away. Taliban has taken over. So it became some sort of a hotbed as far as the terrorists were concerned. And a lot of people, they came. And of course, that is the time, of course, from there only all, whether it is ISIS, whether it is Al Qaeda, etc. So they, of course, originated right from there only, with, of course, the support which was given by the Pakistan as such. Then, of course, this thing also, 9/11 happened. 9/11 happened after there's something that was the lesson for the Americans, that, of course, you had to, in fact, only raise this issue, like in fact even here also, if you remember in India also, when we say also that Bhindranwala, of course, was of course raised by the Congress, of course, ultimately, of course, he is the one, of course, who raised against Congress. So they say that in case, I mean, you are saying it, okay, we'll have a snake with you also, it's going to bite you someday. So after that 9/11, of course, they decided, okay, we will go for Afghanistan. This thing also, this thing, and of course, remove as far as the instance is concerned. Before that, if you remember, first, as far as the Americans were concerned, they were not thinking as far as the insurgency. Whenever we used to tell them if something is happening there in Kashmir, they say, okay, you sort it out yourself. There is nothing much of it. But after 9/11 happened, if you think also that they changed, not only that, in the complete concept, but the concept changed. They had their own homeland security, a separate department, it's a huge department which was raised as such, just to save the America as such. And that is where, of course, they came in there, of course, they removed the Taliban. After that, of course, but something happened between 2001 and 2000, you may say, in fact, 20 years they were there. And they, in fact, they pumped in a lot of money. As per the estimate, almost $1 trillion. $1 trillion is almost 76 lakhs crore. 76 lakhs crore money which has been spent out there. But if you see this thing from the professional, I'm going only from the professional point of view. When they were raising the armed forces, who were the one initially? They were the Northern Alliance chaps. Northern Alliance people were the one who initially, of course, they taken it as far as the the Afghan army was to be raised. And raising of the army, in fact, slowly and slowly, when the Indian head was also asked by the Americans, we, of course, given our own, in fact, blueprint as such, they call it. There was a meeting which was held in Bonn, and it was told to them that when you are raising an army, when you raise the army, then it's not only the infantry. Infantry there, utterly there, the armored corps is there, then there is the other support arms which are there. So they all have to be raised. But somehow or the other, maybe, I mean, we know, in fact, come from the detailed analysis, that it was the Pakistan. They did not want a strong Afghanistan army to be there. So they persuaded the Americans. Okay, in fact, they no need of having it. We want only the army, which will be able to anti-insurgency operations. So if you see here, they raised only the people because the anti-insurgency operations. So they were as far as what is the anti-insurgency? So they had the foot soldiers, which was there. They were given the weapon and they were told, "Don't worry, as far as the air support is concerned, we are there. We will the U.S. Army will." So the raising was the first one. So there was which will be there. That is also one of the reasons became there. That is why they buckled in so much. And there were no senior, in fact, I mean, the officers who could be, in fact, think of it, plan it, because at a level of the complete of the output. So they were only, in fact, at the lower level, what is required to be done. So basically, if you ask me, Afghanistan army was just like what our CRPF is there. They were only raising it, or in fact, this RR, the army RR. So the anti-insurgency grid. So that's what they were raised. And then when they were encircled from all the sides, they were nothing that they could be. In fact, they even were able to do the counterattack. They have never been told what the counterattack is, to take back the thing. So when they were encircled from all the sides, that is exactly what the Taliban were doing, encircling them, and they were buckling it. They didn't know what is required to be done. So that is where, of course, the fault lies, that they will be there only. And of course, Pakistan's role in that, not to make them a good part. So that now you ask me as to there are any number of groups within the Taliban only. Then there is this is the one that blew up the two, or other the Americans are saying there was only one blast day before yesterday, and this is the ISIS local, of course, of Khorasan province is there. So they are the local province chaps. Besides that, also there are a number of, in fact, the Pakistan, in fact, the sponsored in fact, the anti, in fact, people, that is the terrorist group which are operating from there only. The reason being there only, so they were also fearing it that in case they are in Pakistan, because if you see the statistical strength depth is not there as far as Pakistan is concerned between India and Pakistan. So they wanted to have a strategic depth, and that is where, of course, they had some of those the people that were there. If you remember yesterday also, in fact, what is that? Salamullah Khanna, something who is Lashkar-e-Taiba's chief. He had gone over to Taliban and he said, "Okay, I want your support. We want to fight in Kashmir." Yesterday only it has happened. So there is, in fact, too many things which are happening there. That is the reason, if you see here, they took over on the 15th of the August, and now is what, 2028. There are about 13 days. There is no government which has been formed. So there is a turf war which is going on. I can't count the number of the terrorist groups which are there only, but there are terrorists which are international terrorists like ISIS. Then there are, in fact, local who are from Japan. There are one which are, in fact, one who are Pakistani. That they are only. Their names are any number of them. I won't like to name them, but there are a number of terrorist groups which are located there, and it is in fact, a very muddled up situation as of now.
Okay, sir, thank you. And basically, you already threw an adequate light about the internal permutation combination. I would like to know that since you already worked in the ground and you were, you operated as, in counter insurgencies, time and time again. So what was the reason that, not even a fortnight had gone before America's pullout had happened, but the entire, all the Afghan army had just fallen like a pack of cards. Just like 9 pins, it fell. So entire world community has been taken by surprise as to then, because America has been more or less controlling Afghanistan for last 2 decades. And no sooner had it withdrawn the entire Afghan forces collapsed like nine pins. And even though India was also backing, backing Afghanis army, not as formidably as Americans were doing, but nevertheless, it is beyond the comprehension of the international community that what happened, why trillion of dollar, which was invested by America into building up the Afghan army, had collapsed in no time. Your say on this, please.
No, I'll tell you. In fact, one of course, one of the reasons I told just now only because of the not the typical Afghan army was not there. That is the first one of the reasons which is there, which would have fought, which would have fought. Second is that the Americans have what had happened initially. The Northern Alliance came, and of course the support, air support was given by the Americans. That was what happened. After that or something, they had the various Bagram and then other number of course, the other bases they made it, and then they positioned their forces out there. From there, of course, the domination of that area is a must as far as infantry soldiers are concerned. Who are doing it? Americans were not doing it. Americans are doing it only in the locally for their own defense, so that there is no protection there. But here, the domination of the area is the first thing which is required to be done, which was not done, what was not being done as far as they are concerned. And then go after them. If you are not able to, in fact, keep them on the run, the terrorists, they will keep you on the run. That was the only. And they used to get some information. They used to give me there also whether it is the by air and also whether by the drone. They used to drop. They did kill, and there is no doubt on that one. They did kill because of the intelligence which they get it. But what is requirement is there that is not how they say. In fact, unless and until you have got 1 foot on the ground, nothing can happen. The foot has to be there on the ground, and that is by the infantry, which was not there. Which are not there, and which is they had the in fact air, they had the infantry weapon, etc. But that's why they never, Americans never moved it. Second part, which is there only, which I heard, of course, I physically am not with there, but by interaction with the people who have been there, they say that initially the army, in fact, were very active. The Pakistan army, Afghanistan army, and they were very loyal. And initial, like 2001 till 2008, 2009. And there were, of course, the initial money which was being spent by the Americans. They were also making in fact, taking they were accounting them. Okay, you give us the accountability for that only, whatever the money which is being spent. But after about 2009, 2010 afterwards, so then there was no check. With this corruption came up. Americans, they were not, of course, having any, in fact, say on that. Only they let them go. And after 2016, when 2018, when they knew, okay, we have to pull out. When they started saying it, we have to pull out. Trump started saying it, and the pull out. After that, they said that okay, yeah, we have to go out from there only. Why get involved in that? So that is the reason why, over a period of time, and the last about 1 year, so over a period of time, so there was no will which was required to be done. As I said earlier, the senior officers from the Afghan, they were, in fact, they were not trained. They had not planned it. Third one is there that the Americans, when they were there, only evacuation should have taken place. They pull out the army first, then the civilians. Can it happen? So they have pulled out the army. Who is going to be in fact, if you are saying it now, we have to take everybody. Though everybody should have taken it first, then only the armed forces should have moved out. It would be much smoother rather than there only. With this, that of course, the other aspect, which is, there's also, in fact, not there, that whether it is the order which came, this is from the president and the defense minister. In fact, if you remember, last year, once the defense minister was missing, they did not know where is he. Can you imagine a defense minister missing as army chief was, they were never. So with the top notch, the instruction which came from Ghani to them only, don't fight. we are going to have an inclusive government. If you're going to fight, because so they will, in fact, we will not be able to have an inclusive government. So the orders were different. So we cannot blame the armed forces of the Afghan. They would have fought there only. Had they been trained better, had they had a senior officer who were trained in planning as well as this thing, implementing whatever the plans were there only, they would have been done. They were encircled. That was the strategy which the Taliban, of course, adopted it. Encircle one. This is the first one which they had it in Kandahar. Encircle everything. Supply supply in that only for 7 days. They said, okay, we'll buckle. Same thing they happened in the other major the towns and others also. And of course, Kabul, by the time they came to Kabul, it was is a platter of that. So hence, of course, the system, I will blame too. I won't blame the president of America, but I will blame as far as the senior officers, the American officers, the senior generals who were there only. They should have given, in fact, advice proper. They should have given the advice proper. That's why they go. So why the president is, in fact, will act only whatever the advice is being given to him only. And he, by then has just taken over. But so we can't blame him also for that. So with these, then yes, their system went over it as far as the plans, their advice, etc. And they thought that they will be able to withstand for 2 or 3 months. So that basically failed. That was one.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
One more point, which I'll say that
please, sir, please.
That is, in the insurgency, normally you do say that you also infiltrate into the insurgency. It's into their ranks, etc. And in this particular case, you see, the Taliban is not one entity. There are so many, of course, the tribes which they are constituting that way. At least some of those tribes, etc. So they should have been able to buy them. They should have been able to infiltrate into them. Neither the Afghan government did it, nor the American did it. They kept them away. In fact, unfortunately, India also didn't do it. To tell very frank. So that is also, we followed the leader Walai Sabu. That's what I said. Okay, yeah. Oh.
So, sir, actually, in fact, my viewers, you heard, the proper, some sort of espousal, articulation of the ground reality, because Honorable Brigadier Dr. Sri B.K. Khanna, sir, he has been working in the policy formulation. And what he said about the ground reality as it unfolded in Afghanistan, it is all because of those who were very much, on the ground, all watching or supervising over the situation. It was their fault, because whatever inputs they provided to the highest authority, that is the President of the United States of America, President had taken the decision based on those inputs. But whatever it may be, it is America had left Afghanistan in a chaotic state, in an absolute anarchy, and that is, that is corroborated, that has been watched, witnessed by the entire international community. Sir, we are coming to the next point, because we'll move quickly to other issues as well. Please tell us, before we switch over to other issues, that because since you have been into planning, you have been into formulation of planning, so you can understand better. So that's why this question is very, very important, not only for our viewers as well, but even from the point of view of the policymakers. Please tell us that what will be the strategic fallout of Taliban's takeover of Afghanistan on India, Pakistan, and China, both in short term as well as in long run. Because we have seen that Indian Prime Minister is going into huddle. He held the cabinet meeting, the meeting of cabinet security affairs. And in fact, there are a lot of tensions within India, because people are suspecting its overall adverse impact on on Kashmir. So, maybe it might not happen in the short run, but obviously there is a huge concerns that such situations might unfold in the long run. So your take on this, both from short-term perspective as well as from the long-term perspective. Sir.
Okay. In fact, I will in fact deal it within two aspects as to what has happened and what should not have happened. And then secondly, of course, what in fact under the present circumstances, what India should do and what of course other countries also I will take it up. Because India, we are more interested in India. I will take on India first as such. Now, from the Indian point of view, if you see here that yes, you're very right that we have the foreign policy has taken a hit. They no doubt on that. There is that we have not been successful as far as this particular party is concerned in assessing it. We followed, as I said earlier, we followed the leader, and we never, of course, in fact, tried other options also. Now, although, of course, we, on the advice or maybe on the other side also, we, of course, as far as India, Afghan is concerned, people to people talk. We have been seeing it from the Kabliwala days. You remember the Kabliwala? So the Afghans, of course, they have been coming to India, and we have been people who have been there only from the Ranjit Singh time. So we have been there. So there is a lot of link between Afghan people and our own people. They have been there. So people to people talk will be there. They like each other. They nothing else. So that is very, very important. That is very, of course, they are not, of course, some sort of an enemy of each other as such. They see each other as a friend. They see each other as a people to people talk. We have, of course, during this 20 years thing also, we have, I think, put in about 55 million also. Made this dam also, I think that's what is called a Salman Dam. Salman Dam, which there is also, now it is known as that is Afghan India Friendship Dam. That is there is on the Hari River, it is there. And it is in the Chishti Sharif district of the Herat province in the western of Afghanistan. And it is in fact giving about 200, I think, I'm just referring it because some statistics are here, $290 million it was spent on that only, and 42 megawatt this electricity is producing it. And that is the major, what I'll cover here itself was, in Pakistan did not want any, in fact, the infrastructure to be there only. So in 2018 or 2019 only, I get date I don't remember. So they gave the instruction to Taliban that please, in fact, destroy this dam. Destroy this. This instruction was given to them. And thereafter, so some of those Taliban themselves only, within them, there was some sort of a rift. So some Talibans came there to destroy it. The other Taliban came there. This guy said, no, we are going to protect it. And the local people also stood there only with their rifles. We will not allow you to, in fact, break this dam. And then ultimately, of course, the Taliban who had come there, they had to, in fact, retreat. This was, in fact, a snub to the Pakistan where they wanted. That is as far as the importance of that particular dam. Besides that, of course, the Parliament of Afghanistan, we have built it. A number of course roads there are something we have there. So infrastructure development, there is a lot of stake which will be there. Now, what is going to happen? There are a number of other areas where of course development they are halfway through. Are they going to continue with that? But as of now, I think stand only that we will not be able to conduct anything in the near future. As such. There is nothing, everything is coming to a standstill as of now. Only with a wait and watch is the policy which we have to adopt as such. The Pakistan, of course, this also can say yes, they have. In fact, they are very happy that the India has taken a beating as such, but they don't realize it. That as far as the Taliban are concerned, 3-4 statements they have made it. One, they have said, so okay, yes, if you see here, the own Indian ambassador from his own house, that is from the embassy, to the airport, was escorted by the Taliban. None of the, in fact, our own people, our embassy people, or even the Hindu or Sikh, which are Afghan, citizens, etc. They have been killed so far. Touch wood that way. That way they know. They have also made a statement earlier, and it has been repeated yesterday by the spokesperson, that India is very important for us, and we will not allow our own territory to be used against any other country. This is important. Whether they are able to do or no is a different. But the statement has been made that they will be doing. So this is very important that we are, as of now, the Taliban are not against it. But at the same time, we can see the previous, of course, record. Because we cannot say that they are going to, in fact, carry on whatever they are saying it, they will be able to do it on ground also. Yes, there is a suspicion is there. There is a suspicion that we can. So hence, of course, wait and watch. Wait and watch. As far as India is concerned, in the initial run, we have to say wait and watch only. But in the longer run, of course, whichever the government comes here, if it's an inclusive government, like in fact Abdullah, Karzai, any one of them also gets involved in it, they're good, in fact, Indian friends. So they will be able to, through them also, will be able to have inclusive government for India, inclusive government in Afghanistan is in the favor of as far as India is concerned. But total Taliban, etc., will be a little, in fact, again, wait and watch. Let us see how they do it. But Taliban too, also there is a little change. There is a little change. Let's be very frank. They are not Taliban one. They have learned it 20 years. They have been fighting it. So we are not going to rule it, and ruling it cannot be done. Enough is enough. So we have to rule. So that's the reason why they are asking the Pakistan, by get us, of course, the recognition from everybody. That is the first, that international recognition that we wanted. If they are, that was in the first Taliban, of course, never asked for it. People, of course, whether Saudi Arabia, Qatar, I think also Pakistan, in fact, countries only had recognized it, not everybody. But here now they're asking for international recognition as such. So hence, of course, we also should be able to have in the longer run a little dialogue with them, whichever the government gets formed there, whichever the government formed there. But Pakistan, of course, they also will have, as far as I'm concerned, but sorry, the two more things. This year, as I said, so that we cannot take them by their word. That we have a problem which is going to come up, that some of those weapons, American weapons, are likely to come, or maybe some of those terrorists also come in the Kashmir. So we have to strengthen our border, of course, at the area. Some of the troops, etc., which were shifted to the China border after last year, for the episode, we might have to, in fact, strengthen them. Second, of course, the insurgency grid which is there behind the council, that also has to be strengthened. And thirdly, of course, more normalcy will have to bring in as far as J&K is concerned. Normalcy to the extent, of course, let's have, of course, the state assembly elections, etc. early. Let state government will be there only. And of course, some, of course, government has also given a lot of, in fact, package be there only. Get them implemented fast, so that there is a little normalcy, and then they don't find support within and for the ground as such. Because in insurgency, we say that insurgency is like a fish and water. In case you can take out the water, fish will die automatically. So hence, of course, we have to take away the water, and that is the public from the terrorist support automatically. That is the aspect. Pakistan, this can, so then if you see here, Pakistan and China is also not recognized such. They have not recognized. They know it that this also we do not know who is going to come, and then they will be the one. Of course, they will be directly affected. Yesterday, of course, you must have read it because so the people after this bombing day for yesterday, they rushed to Pakistan border, and then and that border there was a firing. 6 Afghans have been killed. I think about 9 of them, 10 of them have been injured. But they wanted to enter there. So this is the public only, but they know it also that this is we cannot say in fact that this IS chaps also they will not be able to, of course, come into their area, or some Taliban chaps also will not go against them also.
Thank you, sir. Yes, please. You want to say something, sir?
No,
Okay,
I was
sir.
just thinking as far as China is concerned, China is again, China, Russia, etc. There is, of course, likelihood of China, Russia, Pakistan, Iran, etc. Some sort of quad may coming up there only. But they that was initially, of course, as soon as they taken over, we thought so. But of late, they are also, of course, taking their step that no, we are not going to recognize it. So because China has also got problem in the province, in the northern province, etc. That will be there only. Similarly, Russia also, if this is going to happen tomorrow, it's going to Kazakhstan and Kazakhstan will be, and then they are in their footsteps there. So hence, of course, they are also playing very safe as such, and they want whosoever is the, so they do not want any of this, because so that their own national interest get interested as such. To my extent, they ultimately, so it will be an inclusive government only. They will get the support because neither China may be able to give something, or Russia is not given to give any economic support, which you cannot get it from them. So the thing is that they will be able to, one government will have a problem of raising the money for them to run the government. America is not ready to initially give it to them. Maybe on the other hand, whatever the weapons are there only, they will be on sale. They will sell them. And they will go into the wrong hands. Because so, and that is again a problem for Pakistan, for including India also. So security scenario is so we have to look into a little bit broader, I think, the aspect, and whether it is Pakistan or from India.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot for giving such a multidimensional angle to it, because as you have been saying, and I'm absolutely in agreement with you, because the Taliban 1 and Taliban 2 definitely both are going to differ, from the point of view of the nature of governance. Because when Taliban government will be seeking international recognition, I came across several articles that India should grant recognition to it, because India needs to build up a quick rapport. And that, of course, would be in the strategic interest of India. And what you said, I'm also absolutely endorsing that, it is just creating Frankenstein and thinking that it will destroy others and it will not touch you is absolutely, living in a illusory world. Because, of course, it will boomerang the sort of scattered fruit, as we use in English term, that is, there's some sort of gloating over India's, nemesis as what is being considered by Pakistan and China, that would absolutely boomerang on them, as you have very correctly mentioned, because China's Xinjiang is absolutely a vulnerable area where China has a lot of anxiety, and Pakistan, Balochistan, and everywhere there is a problem. So it is only a matter of time. All sort of scattered fruit is absolutely unwarranted and uncalled for, because it will boomerang on China and even on Pakistan sooner than later. Very correctly said, sir. Now we are coming back to the very war, the war of liberation, which we fought with a tremendous amount of bravery and heroism. And that is India gained. But here is a very important question I'm going to ask you, because I think I have done a lot of research in the particular war and the subsequent development. I think that India won the war handsomely on ground, but it lost whatever advantages it gained on ground on diplomatic table, because Simla agreement was basically it reflected adversely on India's strategic interest, even though it had captured more than 90,000 soldiers as well as the Pakistani land. But India, just lost all the, the historic opportunity by way of mysteriously conceding the demand of Benazir Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, in Simla, who came to represent Pakistan in the capacity of the then president. So what transpired, that of course is a matter of academic debate or details. But I would like to know from you, because you fought in that war so bravely, which India managed to win, that please tell me, sir, how India gained the strategic advantages on the ground, yet lost it in the diplomatic table. Your say on this. What you say as a soldier of India, when you won victory, but you lost it on the diplomatic table. Your say on this.
In fact, I will first take it. In fact, how did we get that the superiority over Pakistan, East Pakistan, and that the war had started, of course, on the 3rd of December officially. to tell you very frankly now that it's over 30 years or rather 50 years now, that we were in fact, Bangladesh at that time was East Pakistan from 20th of November on. We'd gone inside, and of course, our area, that area was on the west, the eastern side. That is the area of Dharmanagar, Indian side. Towards Pakistan was, East Pakistan was the Shamsher Nagar, Maulvi Bazar, and Sylhet area. That is that area, of course, we operated it, of course, that defeated them. And of course, we did, of course, get a lot of, resistance there only. But at that time, of course, one thing which played in our favor was basically that on the first day itself, on the 3rd December itself, a signal had come. Anything which you see in the air will be Indian aircrafts, Indian Air Force. So that is a very good in a war. What else you wanted? That you can have your say whatever you wanted to do. Secondly, of course, we will be there only that there was a uprising on the ground. There was uprising on the ground. And the uprising in the sense, of course, the intelligence getting for us was easier. Mukti Bahini people, of course, they, in fact, they helped us a lot. To the extent, of course, now they are known as Mukti Jodha. To tell you, I'm just going to divert for half a minute that the Bangladesh government had invited us. In fact, on the 48th was Independence Day, that was 2019. Myself, my wife, both had gone there. Over 23 officers were there. We had gone there, and we were there for six days. And we, to tell you very frankly, the way they looked after us, they are calling us. Of course, they say that you are a freedom fighter, and not only during that particular time. 2016, I was attending, in fact, one of our the Asia Pacific Disaster Management meeting here in Vigyan Bhavan. So a person who was sitting next to me was, in fact, he was a fire chief from Bangladesh. So I told him, I said that I fought a war in 71 there only, and he just stood up, gave me a salute. Can you, sir? Can I, in fact, say thank you to you? I said that, he said, please come along with me. I want to, this is my minister will be very happy. So he took me there to the minister. Minister was having a conference. And he said, sir, we have got a freedom fighter with us only. This is a minute, this is a meeting, with all the meeting. I just come out. He just came in there, hugged me because only he said that, in fact, they said, Brigadier Khanna, you have been our savior. Today we are the same, so just because of the Indian Army. You, whenever you're coming to Bangladesh, please, you are personal guest, and not only you, your own, of course, this, the children, grandchildren, etc. Whenever they come here, please come. So that not only here, 2-3 other places in Mongolia also met here, some Bangladesh, in Geneva also met them. Who said whenever I ever met them, I told them, yes, I fought it there only. They are so happy. सबसे पहले बोलेंगे, we want to have a selfie with you, sir. We want to have a selfie with you only. We are going to tell them that we met a freedom fighter. So that is the regard which I have got it. Still, I'm talking about now. Yeah, the way reported. Now your point, yes, that why we gave, in fact, only. Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was in fact, a strong lady. There is no doubt on that one. We can call it an iron lady. He was there only. Of course, she gave good direction, and that one of the reasons, of course, we won the war. Was the credit to them. The political people who were there only at that time. But yes, after that, 93,000, because of the Pakistani prisoners, they were with us. But and as you know, in the Shimla, the agreement, she had not agreed. This was, I'm told, because I was not a part of that, but this is what has been told to me, not one, but 4 or 5 different agencies. And that she said that unless until you sign on J&K, I'm not going to release the 93,000. In fact, as far as the talks were concerned, they were saying that talks were going, in fact, say to fail. After that, only that they also Bhutto said, can we have a one-to-one, just want to go out of the president of state, because so that have a walk. When they were walking around, that is they say that he said, Madam, you are going to be Prime Minister of India for quite some time, and so I will be. And of course, wherever the boundaries are there as of now, we will take it as a de facto boundary as far as India-Pakistan is concerned. Why are you, in fact, getting involving it all this thing? So, in fact, if you don't release the 93, so when I go back to Pakistan, I will be beheaded. I will be beheaded. Now my head is with you. If you can give it also, but because that is, they say that in her, in fact, weak woman, she agreed to it, and that is how the story is there. That's how we have given it only. Yes, we failed. Yes, of course, we should have stood the ground. There's no doubt on that only. Like in 65 or so, we gave a Hajipir, which was, we should not have given it. And similarly in 1971, we should not have given this 93,000. I agree with you. From in fact, our point of view, there's no doubt on that.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. And here, my viewers, I would like to inform you that whatever Honorable Brigadier sir had just disclosed to all of you, I would just like to add something to it. Benazir Bhutto, the former Prime Minister of India, the daughter of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, writes in her autobiography, which I would like to mention here, because Honorable Brigadier Sahab has already informed you, already enlightened us on this very strategic issue. Benazir Bhutto writes in her autobiography that she had also accompanied her father Zulfikar Ali Bhutto to Simla. And while they were going to sign the agreement, while her father was going to sign the treaty with his Indian counterpart, she asked him while on way that, father, if Madam Indira Gandhi asks you to choose either between the land that is very much in the possession of India, our land in the possession of India, or the soldiers, that is 90,000 soldiers, which are in India's custody, which one of these two you would ask for, you would opt for if given an option? And then what Zulfikar Ali Bhutto said is really a snow, so it reveals his strategic mind. He said that, look, I will, by way of an option, I would like for the release of the land. I would like her to return our land. Then Benazir Bhutto was pretty surprised because she was very young then. She said, but father, I fail to understand that how come you are compromising with our men? You are saying that by way of priority or preferential treatment, you would ask the land to be released. What about our people? You would make yourself a laughing stock. Then what Zulfikar Ali Bhutto said reveals his mindset, reveals his strategic mindset. He said, look, if I seek for the release of land, it would be done easily. Otherwise, you see the case of Israel and Arab. Israel had already captured some Arab land and it has never returned it. Even decades have gone by. So people tend to forget about land issue. But so far as men are concerned, sooner or later, India will have to release those men because even the pressure of United Nations will be there. But if the land issue is being soft pedaled, then over a time period, land issue often gets in the backyard of the memory. So therefore, I'll be asking for the release of land rather than seeking the release of people, our soldiers. That was the comment. This is the incident which is incorporated in Benazir Bhutto's autobiography. Thank you, sir, for enlightening on this very, very important point, because this is also my personal opinion, because I have done a lot of research on this, wrote my first book in the Republic in the wake of abrogation of Article 370, making of Narendra Modi and making of Jawaharlal. Sir, I would like you to show some of the, your diary, because you have something very important. Let the viewers see those diary and please explain in gist, sir, because I have so many questions to ask. Please, sir.
This is, of course, our report is there as far as our own 81 Brigade report. And this is a letter which one of the soldiers is writing to his commanding officer that I want to remarry, although I've got a number of the wives which are there in Pakistan, but I want to remarry. There, of course, so that he is not able to create a nuisance letter here. This also shows, of course, how many, of course, wives, or how many, what atrocity they created as far as on the Bangladesh woman is concerned. And this is, of course, one of the parchments for one of the brigadiers who is there only. This, of course, shows what is the pay slip which is going to be there, which is Pakistan officers concerned, pay slip of a Pakistani officer, which is there only. And the last one, of course, this is a calendar for the 1971, which was there in one of the brigadier, the secretary. And then, of course, this is a letterhead also, where, of course, they're citing the sign. I mean, this used to send.
Sir, you wrote a book also. You wrote a book also.
And no, this book is basically, I'm going to write on this. This book is basically on the Operation Pawan.
Okay, the question the questions will come up now.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir, for exhibiting all these very, very important documents to all our viewers. Sir, I'm coming to a very important question, because Indian peacekeeping force, which you were a formidable part of. It was, when Mr. Rajiv Gandhi was presiding over the nation's destiny in the capacity of the Prime Minister, he had entered into an agreement with his counterpart, that is of Sri Lanka, where consequently our forces went there, to destroy LTTE. And here, in that particular force, our honorable brigadier sir played a pivotal role. So now, we are going to understand the exact Operation Pawan, what exactly was the nitty-gritty and how it was executed. Sir, you are a very, very important part of the Indian peacekeeping force, that is in Sri Lanka, Operation Pawan. Do you think that India was strategically correct in sending its forces to Sri Lanka for destroying its own people, its own diaspora, its own Tamilian people there? Your important say on this, sir.
At that particular time, what was being done, what happened there, that India wanted to have some sort of the regional power. Regional power, something happening somewhere in the other country, you'll be able to support them. You'll be able to support them. And there were a lot of problems which was being faced as far as Sri Lanka is concerned. So Sri Lankan, of course, the president, of course, Jayawardene, and there's a lot, of course, this thing, details are there. I won't go into that. Otherwise, I'll be spending about half an hour in that only. But just to say that they came into an agreement that yes, where of course it was said that there will be, in fact, peace in Sri Lanka, and the LTT, of course, will take part in that. And as far as the Sri Lankan front side is concerned, they will give a statehood to the, in fact, northern provinces. On the similar line, like the Indian states are having it. But in fact, although of course initially that was on the 29th of the July in 1987. And after that, of course, the LTT, of course, the Supremo Prabhakar was called, and of course he said that I'll go back and then of course have a dialogue with my own commander and come back. So when he went back, so they backed out. They said that no, because we cannot believe on the Jayawardene, because they're never going to give it to us. Okay. So with that, once they back out, that when of course on the 29th of July, when the signing was being taking place, so there was one line which was added, that in case the LTT, of course, do not agree, then India will send its Indian peacekeeping force, because convert into the single. I mean, will let the Indian the forces to lay the LTT, lay down the arm by the LTT. That LTT will lay down the arm with the help of the Indian Army as such. This particular line was added only on the last time when they were signing it. It was not there. It was in that particular, when in fact nothing happened. So I think 12th or 13th of October is the one, of course, the LTT, of course, blatantly, of course, they said, of course, we are not going to do it. And then they started, of course, encircling the Jaffna fort also, where one of our own battalion, one first Maratha Light Infantry was there. So they bombed that also, they're creating there some problem. And that is where, of course, the Indian, that particular para, which was there only, we have to honor it, and the more forces were sent. My battalion, 5 Rajputana Rifles, of course, we were there in Kanpur. From Kanpur, of course, we were flown. We came by road to Lucknow, and from Lucknow we directly went into Jaffna directly. From Jaffna about Palali, about 23 kilometers. That's where, of course, we landed as such. There was a lot of, in fact, the casualties which the entity was creating it. We had trained them. They know about that. They had, in fact, understood very well. To tell you very frankly, they were being trained by our, in fact, commandos. And when the commandos are training here, so the commando training is different than when the normal training is there. So they understood that only, and then they were only, of course, applying it on us only. So with the result, what had happened, we did not have any, in fact, no, we had gone initially as a peacekeeping force. Peacekeeping force doesn't take any, in fact, utterly with them. So we did not have any utterly with them. So when we landed up there, we did not have any transport. We did not have any transport. So we did not have any, of course, our own weapons, bigger weapons, which are required at the level of the battalion also. So with the result, what happened when we landed up there only, so we, in fact, and the other thing which happened, that they said, okay, we will do two things. What the two things they did? One, of course, they came to know, okay, there, as far as Prabhakar and other parts are concerned, they are in Jaffna University as such, and we will drop in the commandos as well as some, of course, the commandos from one of the battalion, because they are only, and then, of course, we will encircle and catch them. This information was known to LTT. Some of the other they came to know about it only. So once they were landing only, they were fired at. So whether they never landed, they only, a lot of casualty took place. Whoever landed was about 13, 20 odd. So our own chaps were taken prisoner for the battalion as such. So then they, in fact, landed somebody else, in fact, near about 33 kilometers away from Jaffna Fort. And that, of course, when they landed up there, only landed in an open area. Ganapati, Major Ganapati landed in open area. So with this, so then the LTT, of course, they came there, they started creating the problems for them, casualties were being created. And that is the time, of course, our own battalions, of course, part of 41 Infantry Brigade, we were launched there only. And I'm very happy to tell you that mine was the first battalion to link up with the Jaffna Fort. Of course, in that particular operation, we lost one officer and 18 other ranks. Overall, of course, we were there for about 1.5 years, and 2 officers and 33 other ranks. About 86, rather 5 officers, 6 divisions, and 86 other ranks were injured also. But battalion did very well, excellent, of course, and then we got a lot of awards too also. 1 Mahavir Chakra, 3 V Chakra, 1 Yudh Seva Medal, 3, 4, 5 rather, Sena medals, and others, or total about 23 of them. And on that only, of course, then very recently, my own commanding, one of the battalion officer was commanding a battalion, Sarvesh, he asked me, okay, sir, you actually were there only, so please write a book so that, in the history, the people will know, in fact, how did the battalion do. It took me about 2 years to find out, because by that time, almost 30 years had gone there. You have to recollect all those events, etc. I wrote this book, and this is the book which is there. It is not for public, it is internal circulation. My own battalion, this is known as the Napier's Rifles in Opavan, 1987 to 88, and commanding officer's perspective. That is from our perspective. So, and this book, I have given it about 500 copies to the battalion to be given to all the officers who get commissioned. Hopefully, in 30-40 years, of course, all the officers are going to come there, so they will know as to what is required. Coming to your point, of course, whether it was a good or bad decision, politically, it may be a bad decision. But from the point of view of the armed forces are the right arm of the whichever is the ruling party as such. So they, in fact, we did our duty. We got the Paramveer Chakra, Veer Chakra, Mahavir Chakra, etc. We have done our duty. But unfortunately, Pawan is never mentioned. I mean, it's very strange that Sri Lanka has got memorial. Pawan memorial is there in Colombo. We had gone there with our wives as well as all the officers. I had taken them in 2018 there only, and we paid a visit there, paid our respect to them only. But unfortunately, of course, it's not being recognized just because, of course, they say that Tamil people will get recognized. But we don't recognize whether it is Tamil or whether it is the Sikh or whether it is so it is not. Army is there only to have the rule of the land, rule of that particular thing. We were given the task, we went out, we did our duty or something. My own recommendation is there only. It's a high time as far as the government is concerned. They take a decision, let them recognize the valors which have been done by the people who fought there on behalf of India to keep the name of India high, I think so, and not just because of the political reason, I would say, put it under the.
Sir, thank you. That time is also up. I would just like to ask you last question, sir. What about this Arise India initiative under FICCI, which you are presiding over in the capacity of its head? Kindly tell us quickly about what is this Arise India, please.
In fact, 2015, there was, of course, the Sendai framework, which has been, in fact, signed by 188 countries, including India. And there are two parts in that. One is the government, the other. But the implementation of this only UNDRR is the one which is responsible for it. So the two parts, one is the government part, the other is the private part. So before that, in fact, because there were 4 or 5 separate entities which were there, that this private at the UN level. What they did in November 2015, they said that we amalgamate all of them to make it one only, that is Arise. So that is a government sector as well as the private sector. The private sector is the one, all activities, all the development activities, all the promotional activities, all the capacity building activities in the private sector against the perceived disasters. Because so this thing is under the Arise. So Arise India, we are of course looking after the Indian part, all over the India, etc. So this Arise India network, which is there only. Our secretariat is the FICCI. Secretariat is FICCI, which is providing us the base as such a thing, all but otherwise it is basic for management of the disaster as well as the climate change adoption.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thanks a lot. And dear viewers, you have been hearing such an enlightened views of our today's honorable guest, the Honorable Brigadier Dr. Sri B.K. Khanna, sir. In fact, I am having so many questions to ask, but because of the severe limitation of time, the constant of time, I am so very humbled by the time factor, sir. But on behalf of 1.40 billion, I salute you. I salute you, Honorable Brigadier, sir, for discharge of such a, the patriotic duty on behalf of 1.40 billion people. We all are safe because of you people, sir. Today you came, you blessed and blessed us. You enlightened all our viewers, and consequently our viewers got enlightened on so very important issues. In fact, had time not been a barrier, I am having still so many questions to ask. But I seek apology. Definitely, sir, we'll call you some next time. We'll invite you some other time too to bless and bless us. And to my dear viewers, I would like to make an announcement before I call it today, before I bid all of you goodbye with the commitment to come back yet again on next Saturday. That our next Saturday's guest is Dr. L.C. Sarma. He's an entrepreneur, director of IRD, Integrated Institute of Rural Management, and